name, please?
Yes, Harry Styles. Harry Styles, I'm 16, I'm from Holmes Chapel in Cheshire.
How are you?
Hello.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Harry Styles.
Okay. Okay, Harry, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Okay, so tell me a bit about you.
I work in a bakery. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute old.
When you're from a small village and you go on the show and Simon Cowell says you guys are going to be in a band together, you know, you're not going to say no. He just kind of called us back and said, you know, we're going to put you guys in a band and then you guys are going to go through to the next stage. You know, you take 5 kids who've never been in the music industry, you put them in a band together and suddenly they're having so much fun. It's really difficult to not just have the best time of your life doing this new thing, you know? When we'd just been formed as a band, there was like a picture of us that had been taken from when we were at the show, like someone's mum had taken it. And it was like the first picture of us as the 5 of us. And we were staying at my stepdad's house. We were like living in this little bungalow, all of us together to like practice, and we were just like singing songs and basically just had a sleepover for like 4 days, and everyone drove down, and there's a tiny little like newsagents down the street, and we'd heard this picture was being put in the paper. So we were like, oh, we're gonna be in the paper, like that's crazy. So the 5 of us like left this little bungalow and walked down to the newsagents and got the paper, and then came back and had breakfast, and we're all just like sitting, staring at the paper and like passing around the paper, and we're like, let me see it again, let me see it again. This is fun. This kind of started out as a joke, and then now it's one of my favourite songs. It was one of the first ones I wrote for the album when I was getting out a lot of energy. I hadn't written or been in the studio for a long time, and then this came out, and I really like it now. Is this good enough, and is it this enough, is it that enough? There's like an afterflow of some of that stuff where sometimes you take something and then for 10 days after you're like, don't worry about it, everything's gonna be fine. It was a collaboration of a few different people. Yeah. I would have been happy doing like some sort of green screen thing. And they told me I was going to do it. The first kind of emails about it, the idea when they sent it to me, they were like, you know, you'll only have to hang like 20 feet tops. And then as it kind of got closer, they were like, all right, it might be 50 feet. And it was like, day before, they're like, you might have to go 100 feet. I'm like, okay.
O primeiro álbum do Harry é muito importante pra mim. Eu tenho um apego emocional muito forte por ele. Porque quando ele foi lançado, eu estava passando por momentos de muitas dúvidas e muitas incertezas na minha vida. E quando eu ouvi, eu me senti abraçada de uma maneira que eu nunca vou conseguir explicar. Cada música, cada melodia, cada letra me tocou de uma forma muito forte. É um mix de emoções, é um mix de sentimentos, sabe? E você consegue sentir o Harry ali presente de corpo e alma, em cada mínimo detalhe. Você consegue sentir todo o empenho e toda a dedicação que ele colocou nesse álbum. o que torna ainda mais importante e mais especial, porque, como eu disse, ele esteve presente na minha vida num momento muito difícil e vai sempre estar presente nos momentos bons, nos momentos ruins, porque quando eu paro para ouvir esse álbum, eu me sinto bem, eu me sinto esperançosa de que as coisas vão dar certo, de que tudo vai ficar bem. E eu tenho certeza que não só eu, mas muitas pessoas também sentem isso. E eu me inspiro muito no Harry, porque pra mim ele é um exemplo de bondade, ele é um exemplo de gentileza, é um exemplo de ser humano mesmo, sabe? E Harry, nós te amamos muito.
The times where I've ever been like really, really upset by people is when I'm more upset with myself when I've got it wrong.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. This would seem like a very obvious answer, but it depends. I think it all depends on what you're trying to write. And yeah, I think if you go in to try and write a song that's really happy, obviously when you're feeling not very great, then it's going to be a lot harder. I think the best way is to just kind of lean into however you're feeling at the time and not worry too much about what comes out and just kind of let it happen. There was a big thing for me where I felt like everyone went to therapy. Right, and I think for a long time I was like, I don't need that. And then I think there was a point where I kind of was trying to work out a lot more stuff about myself, because obviously then it was just me working.
On your own, yeah.
It's probably why I didn't go to therapy earlier, is because I have those friends where I'll have the same conversation that I would have with a therapist. I was kind of trying to redefine what success meant to me. For so long, especially in the band, it was like every album got bigger and every tour got bigger, and it was like always growing. And I think when I went to make the first record, it was kind of freeing, because I felt like, well, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm just trying to go through life being a little less worried about stuff. Definitely with like working, because ultimately it'll be okay. It's like if you don't hit the top of the chart, your life doesn't change. Yeah, and one of my friends kind of said, if you're happy doing what you're doing, then nobody can tell you you're not successful.
It feels very special. I think for all of us, while we were making it, it felt like we wanted to do the history proud and wanted to kind of do it justice and wanted to tell this story the best way we could, because it is an incredibly important import of, you know, the war, and it's not our finest moment. So I don't think it's something that's kind of talked about that much at school or anything. You don't learn about it to a kind of nth degree. Learn about it at school, it's you know, it's not our best time. So it's kind of washed over the way that it's told. It's like these guys were trapped. They came and got them, took them home. And this, you know, the film is much more of the human aspect of what that is. It's kind of told us this number of guys got home when they were stranded, and this is obviously about the individuals, and it's kind of telling their stories in a way. So it's kind of the opposite to what a traditional kind of movie set around war is. It's not us being the heroes and kind of going and saving the day. It's just about community heroism and how these small acts from civilians and the normal people who are at home coming to save us kind of together makes this massive thing. I think it's very much about the spirit of people and you know, how when people come together you can do incredible things.
Harry Edward Styles é uma pessoa que possui muitos dons. E não somente no ramo musical, mas a gente pôde descobrir que o Harry tem muito talento quando o assunto é atuar. E foi incrível pra mim descobrir isso. Sinceramente, toda vez que ele resolve mostrar um talento pro mundo, eu fico totalmente impactada e surpresa. Porque ele mostra que ele é capaz e que ele pode fazer isso, assim como a gente também pode fazer alguma coisa e a gente pode ser bom em mais de alguma coisa, sabe? E ver o Harry atuando em The King foi incrível pra mim, porque eu pessoalmente sempre tive uma proximidade um pouquinho maior assim com o universo cinematográfico. E ver o Harry, que é alguém que eu escuto praticamente todos os dias, assim, nas telas, foi incrível pra mim, porque ele me traz muitos sentimentos bons, assim, enquanto canta. Então, enquanto atua, foi, sabe, legal descobrir o que ele ia me passar através disso, porque é um personagem um tanto quanto bem diferente do que o Harry é, mas ele se esforçou e ele deu o máximo de si, assim, pra contar uma história através daquele personagem. E pra mim, não tem preço, sabe? Eu só espero poder ir mais vezes até o cinema pra assistir o Harry nas telas. Isso é incrível pra mim e me traz muito orgulho.
I think I've always been a massive fan of, you know, movies and actors, and you know, there's so much of things that I've watched that I feel like, you know, when you're younger and you watch it, it kind of shapes you, I guess. So I did a little bit of it when I was younger. I think with this, when I heard about the project, it just sounded so exciting, and obviously the prospect of getting to work with Chris was incredibly exciting. And now I just feel very lucky to have kind of been involved and get to be a part of something so amazing. I think getting to watch it now, I feel very proud of it. And being a fan of Chris's movies and being on set with him, it's hard not to be in awe of him, just in the way that he works. And you feel lucky to kind of get to watch someone like that work, and someone who's so passionate about what they're doing. I feel like it's always a privilege to be around people like that. But yeah, I think Chris knows what he wants, and he's obviously such an amazing director. I think you definitely feel like you don't want to let him down. I think that is definitely a big part of kind of the nerves part of that. You know, if you get to make stuff that you're passionate about, and you get to make something that makes you happy, then you're happy and no one can call you unsuccessful, which is great. I felt so lucky to be there, to be honest.
When I come home and if I like walk and don't see anyone around, I can feel like I'm like 6 again, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm a bit tall for a 6-year-old.
You see, when he's home, he's just Harry and things are normal. He raids the fridge and makes a mess, like every other teenage person.
What a team! When I come home, I don't think my mum really cares that I like sleep until like 2 p.m.
Bom, falar sobre Harry pra mim é a mesma coisa que falar de amor, alegria, autenticidade e respeito. Ele esbanja respeito pelas pessoas que estão junto com ele. Ele tem uma relação ótima com a família e isso me inspira muito. Ele é uma pessoa incrivelmente boa, uma pessoa incrivelmente amorosa. E eu acho que é por isso que ele tem tantas amizades junto com ele, que estão sempre ali pra tudo. E a gente vê isso no dia a dia, com as fotos que saem, o quão maravilhosa é a relação dele com os amigos e com a família. E eu acho que eu amo o Harry justamente por isso. Ele é ele mesmo, essa pessoa amorosa, essa pessoa bondosa. E ele me inspira a ser assim a cada dia que passa. Eu acho que nada vale mais do que o amor e o respeito pela família. E ele me ensina muito isso. E eu amo muito ele. Como fã, eu daria tudo pra ser amiga dele, assim como muita gente.
I work in a bakery. We're going to the bakery that I used to work in. And I always kind of pop in when I go home. Hi.
How you doing, mate?
Good to see you. Right.
I worked at the bakery
For about 2.5 years. This is the cheese counter. This is where I used to sit on my break. So you'd come in and like get all the stuff off the shelf, put them in like boxes, and then at night you'd like slice bread and like get stuff ready for the shop, and then I'd do the washing up. I've had nightmares about this. When I get the chance to come back here, it's just really nice, and I just love just kind of spending a bit of time going around here. If I really wanted to, I'd be quite comfortable just coming and living in a house in the village.
Nice to see you.
I don't know, who knows you never know what's gonna happen.
London's like just where I'll want to be at some point. And it's a weird one because after traveling so much, I don't think I don't look at the future as like, I'm gonna live in this one place and then I'll never move anywhere. I think it's just about like being happy. I just want to be happy. And I mean, the thing with my relationship with California is like, it's also definitely changed over the last few years. But when I first came here, it was like, oh, if you get to move here, it means you've made it. Like, you did good. You know, you get this like, it's everywhere you've seen in movies and you're kind of like, oh, it's amazing. Like, you're in the mix and you get to be here. And I think the more time I spent here, I was like, oh no, actually if you can come here and then leave is when you feel really great. Like, so many of my close friends are here. People from London who've moved here for work and stuff like that. It's like, I'd say since I left home, I've never really had the place that feels like, oh, that's my home. I'd say my house in London is the most homely that I feel anywhere. Like, I've never felt at home here in LA, which is, you know, in one sense, not great, but at the same time, I always feel like I'm on holiday.
Why did I pick Fine Line to be the name of my album?
Well, wrote a song called Fine Line. Wrote it very early on in the process. It kind of felt like when I wrote it, it was kind of always going to be the last song on the album. It felt like it described to me the process of making it and how the album felt in terms of the different kinds of songs on it and stuff the most, and it's one of my favourite songs on the album. When I like listen to the first album now, I can hear all of the places where I feel like I was playing it safe because I just didn't want to get it wrong. I guess a big part of going into this album was I spent a lot of time kind of thinking about the whole process of you make an album and then you put it out and you know, kind of release it and then you tour it, and all of the bits that I didn't enjoy as much, I kind of went into the second one feeling like I want to work out how to make all of this feel really fun. I would rather not do it than do it and it not be fun. Making this album was all about freedom. You know, I have all these ideas about records that I want to make, and I want to make this record in 5 years, I want to make this record in 10 years, and I want to make like just these ideas for records that I want to make. And we had this conversation and Tyler just said to me, you just have to make the record that you want to make right now. That's it. So then we stayed up and wrote Cherry that night.
Pick three, I'd say my prettiest baby. Cherry has been a special one to me. Okay. Fine Line is one I like a lot. And then Golden.
Golden we wrote on day 2 of being in Shangri-La. That was kind of like, and immediately as soon as we'd done it, it was like, oh, this is track 1. Golden came really early, and then I used to drive from here to the studio and listen to it. And it's kind of like, as soon as we had it, Golden was like the perfect PCH song. You know, it's like driving down the coast. It was just, that is what the song is for. Like, it feels so Malibu to me, that song. The hardest song to write on Fine Line was, well, the hardest song to finish was Watermelon Sugar. We wrote it in a day, and then it took about a year to finish, which was very frustrating. But happy with it now. What's with all the fruit references? I don't know. They seem to be happening by accident. Then when I kind of put the album together at the end, I realised there is a lot of fruit on this album. I was going out for dinner, I think, and I was getting picked up from Tom's house, so he came to pick me up. And I was showering, and he was like playing on the piano, and as I came out of the shower, he was playing like the dun 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 dun. I went and stood next to him at the piano, just in a towel, and we just kind of wrote the whole thing. It's a fictional island.
Gotcha.
we got some budget for this album campaign, so we made an island, and it's from the music video for that song, which is called Adore You, and Arolda is Adore Bacchus.
I think the song's about, like, you know, freedom and, I guess, self-reflection, self-discovery, I guess, is, I guess, a couple of things that I'd kind of thought about and I guess kind of wrestled with a little bit over the last couple of years, and then I think the song's kind of about me just accepting those things.
Acho que não tem muito como discordar de que o Fine Line é um álbum de sucesso, mas mais que um álbum de sucesso, o Fine Line é um álbum muito especial. Pra mim, esse álbum é incrível porque ele em si conta uma história, mas ao mesmo tempo cada música tem a sua própria narrativa. É como se Harry me pegasse e me levasse numa jornada musical, passando por diversas emoções e vivenciando várias coisas, criando vários cenários. Tudo isso num álbum só, sem perder o estilo pop rock que ele tem. Mas além desses recursos musicais do álbum, eu gosto muito da identidade visual que foi criada dentro do Fine Line. Eu gosto muito de como tanto o Harry quanto a equipe dele trabalham super nos recursos visuais. Eu sinto que tem uma pegada um pouco surrealista, assim, nas construções imagéticas das coisas. Eu gosto muito de como agora, além de um álbum de música, o Fine Line tá virando um álbum visual, porque o Harry tá fugindo totalmente dos padrões da indústria musical e tá criando vários clipes pras músicas dele, o que eu acho ótimo, porque ele tá mostrando pra gente não só a visão na música dele, como também a visão dele nos clipes.
I want to know, do you ever like look in the mirror sometimes and just wish that like you could be ugly maybe sometimes?
Sobre moda, Harry e a irmã mais velha comentaram sobre como foi crescer com uma mãe que amava brincar de bonce. Minha mãe adorava nos vestir bem, lembra ela. Eu sempre odiei. O Harry sempre gostou muito disso. Ela estava sempre procurando por qualquer oportunidade. Quando criança, eu definitivamente gostava de vestidos elegantes. Não me sinto maluco usando isso. Eu acho que se conseguir usar algo e se sentir incrível, é como usar uma roupa de super-herói. As roupas existem para se divertir, experimentar e brincar. Ele está realmente em contato com o seu lado feminino, porque é natural. Observa o diretor criativo da Gucci. E ele é uma grande inspiração para uma geração mais jovem. O que é realmente empolgante é que todas essas linhas estão simplesmente se desintegrando. Quando você tira há roupas para homens e há roupas para mulheres, uma vez que você remove quaisquer barreiras, obviamente você abre a arena na qual você pode jogar. Eu vou às lojas às vezes e me pego olhando as roupas das mulheres, pensando que são incríveis. É como qualquer coisa, sempre que você coloca barreiras em sua própria vida, está apenas se limitando. Há tanta alegria em brincar com roupas. Eu realmente nunca pensei muito sobre o que isso significa. Simplesmente se torna essa parte entendida da criação de algo.
Eu acho que ao contrário da maioria das pessoas, eu não conheci Harry Styles por conta da One Direction, e sim por causa da influência dele na moda. Eu sempre fui muito interessada por esse assunto, mas na quarentena eu realmente pude pesquisar. E um dos nomes mais citados nas entrevistas e reportagens era o nome do Harry. A partir daí, eu fui vendo mais a fundo sobre a influência dele e sobre toda a trajetória visual que ele cria desde a época do One Direction. E fui ouvindo as músicas e conhecendo a história, e agora de dentro do fandom eu posso dizer com toda sinceridade que é a coisa mais linda do mundo. Tão bonito desde o momento que ele selou isso, usando aquele terno da Gucci com estampa de sofá, onde ele causou burburinho no EMA de 2015, onde ele ainda estava no One Direction, e essa amizade dele com o Alessandro, que é diretor criativo da Gucci, foi só crescendo, e ele se ousando e experimentando coisas cada vez mais fora dos padrões, e nos mostrando que roupas e tecidos não deveriam ter gêneros, porque realmente não tem. E, acima de tudo, eu acho lindo ele ser porta-voz com a influência que ele tem de uma geração nova que está cada vez mais livre para usar o que quiser, para ser o que quiser. E ele se colocando nesse papel, não haveria pessoa melhor para fazer, eu acredito. Isso não está passando despercebido. A cada pessoa que aprende tricô para fazer um cardigan, ou um jovem usando um colar de pérolas, ou então comprando um Vans e pintando um dos cadarços de rosa claro. Tudo isso para se parecer com uma pessoa tão livre e tão bonita de dentro e de fora como é o Harry Styles.
Vírus misterioso surgiu na cidade de Wuhan.
O vírus é uma variante do coronavírus.
Os casos da doença passam de 9.300 em 20 países.
A Organização Mundial da Saúde declarou que a evolução do novo coronavírus chegou ao status de pandemia.
A quarentena preventiva afeta todos os setores da economia, mas em especial aqueles que dependem da presença do público.
E o cancelamento de festas e também de shows por tempo indeterminado, claro, preocupa.
You're doing a proper world tour.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try.
I promise you that we will do our absolute best.
Eu lembro quando o Harry começou a anunciar as datas da tour e demorou até um pouco para ele poder anunciar as datas aqui e a gente ficou bem apreensivo, né? Mas aí quando ele anunciou foi só aquela expectativa, a gente aguardando essa data chegar pra gente poder assistir ele ao vivo aqui. Mas infelizmente veio a pandemia, né? E todos os shows precisaram ser adiados para uma data que, pelo menos aqui no Brasil, a gente não sabe quando que vai acontecer. Eu sei que esse adiamento foi uma coisa bem necessária, né, por um bem maior, pelo bem de todos. Mas assim, não tem como a gente não se sentir triste, né, pelo que tá acontecendo, por esse adiamento, né, não tem como não se sentir ansioso ou ficar aquela dúvida de será que vai acontecer, será que não vai. Mas assim, é por um bem maior, né, a gente poder esperar e eu espero que futuramente tudo esteja bem, que o mundo esteja bem, para que a gente consiga aproveitar a experiência de uma melhor maneira possível, né? Todos saudáveis e é só aguardando, né? E acompanhando.
It's obviously disappointing, but same thing. It's like not even close to being the most important thing at all right now. And even within just the touring thing, it's harder for people who were like already out on the road, I think, who had to kind of bring everyone home.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, I think everybody understands it's not really like there's anything you can do about it. And I think the most important thing right now is to keep everyone safe. And that's, I have to do that from like all of our crew point of view, as well as the fans coming to the shows. And like, I don't want to go to a show right now if this is the thing,
Yeah.
So it's just about keeping everyone healthy and being safe. And touring doesn't sound super fun right now.
Ser fã do Harry Styles é poder apreciar em sua grandeza diversos aspectos do mundo artístico. É ouvir uma música, assistir um filme, apreciar a moda e sentir que podemos fazer parte de infinitos universos.
Ele sempre nos lembra de que não tem nada de errado em ser nós mesmos.
Que ser honesto e vulnerável nos torna mais humanos.
Que podemos sempre nos reinventar e ser melhores.
Que sempre temos que tratar as pessoas com gentileza, porque nunca sabemos a batalha interna de cada um.
E acima de tudo, que somos livres e sempre podemos escolher o amor como nosso principal escolha.